This guy, Flash Thompson, he probably deserved what happened. But just because you can beat him up doesn't give you the right to. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Despite a few hiccups here and there, Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run, Amazing Spider-Man run, has been pretty darn good. Certainly culminating, at issue 50 when they started the last remaining story arc. I was highly invested in that story. If you watch the channel, I wasn't too thrilled with how it ended. It still hasn't ended. There's still no resolution to Kindred. And I have been getting a little bit frustrated with the run. I don't like the revolving artist, or I understood that the new artist team for Amazing Spider-Man was going to be Mark Bagley and Patrick Gleason. We barely have seen Patrick Gleason. He's doing a lot of covers that people like, but he's not doing very many issues with interior arts, getting a lot of fill-in artists, stuff like that. So that's been somewhat of a disappointment. And the last issue, issue 59, I almost was ready to stop reading the series. I did not like that one. I did not think that issue contributed much to the story arc. I was like, this is a downer, but every time I decide I'm going to check out one more, and Nick Spencer reels me back in because he's certainly hinting at heavily that he's going to do something about One More Day. Is he going to undo it? Is he going to fix it? Is he going to play into that and maybe do something, do anything with this stupid story arc that is absolutely loathed, just waiting out there to be addressed? And every time he takes a step forward, I'm about to address it. Then he takes a couple steps back, but it keeps me dragging along. It's like a little carrot in front of me, and I keep mindlessly buying Amazing Spider-Man and reading it. And I don't mind it, especially when we get an issue like issue number 60. And you might be surprised to hear me say this. There's almost zero plot progression as far as the comic book. Where Peter Parker was at issue 59 is where Peter Parker is at issue 61. We do get a couple of pieces of information heavily hinting at the One More Day thing being addressed. But that's about it. But it's a very powerful issue. I think it's one of the better ones that Nick Spencer has done. But Wes, do you like action storytelling? Absolutely, I do love action storytelling, but I like character moments too. And this felt like a very character-driven issue. Was worth my time and is going to keep me on Amazing Spider-Man for at least an issue or two more until I'm finally give up hope that Nick Spencer is not going to address One More Day until issue 100, which is likely the case at this point. But I still have hope. And Nick Spencer, if you're giving me hope to stick around, I guess you're doing your job. Now let's get into this. I'm not going to review. I can't review the issue because literally nothing happens. But I will talk about some of the things that I liked, the character moments, and then the way I interpret them. Obviously, we can all see these things differently. So if you haven't read the story, Peter's having nightmares. He's waking up screaming. MJ comes home. She's like, "Let's go, Tiger." And they talk about how when Gwen Stacy died, this is something that she did to help get over her grief. Was her therapist said you need to kind of let it all out. So she takes him out to the old theater where she got her first break. And essentially, she puts him in front of the lights, says, let it all out and say what you got to say about Harry, a.k.a. Kindred. And I can't go through the whole thing because it's a lot of pages, but this is kind of what stuck with me. At one point, it says, look at me, no marriage, no kids, struggling to make ends meet, losing more and more of myself to the suit. We certainly know that he has no marriage, no kids because of One More Day. It was taken away from him when he made a deal with the devil himself, Mephisto. Innately, there's something about him that realizes something key about him is missing: his marriage, his children. He goes on to say, losing more people I love. Sometimes I'll have these moments when things feel different. I'm in the Avengers. I'm running Parker Industries. But no matter what, I always just seem like to land right back in the same place. Even worse, all this evil I keep trying to put down keeps coming back stronger than before. That could be like a meta commentary about readers. Anytime you do anything too dramatic for the character, they always want you to kind of bring him back. He's not supposed to be a billionaire like Tony Stark running Parker Industries. But I think as far as the storyline, it feels like Peter's trying to find himself. He's trying to go and reach for the stars. I'm going to be in the Avengers. I'm going to start Parker Industries, but that's not who he's meant to be. And he realizes that, and he always brings himself back to where he was before, because he's still searching for this part that's missing, that he can feel deep down in his soul isn't there. There's a piece of him that's hollow, that's he needs to be made whole again. He knows it's not there. He goes and searches for something, realizes that's not the answer, and he comes back to where he was, knowing that that's where he has to start again. And so I thought that was really interesting commentary. He also continues, but I know that was a lie. For God's sake, you're my best friend, talking about Herring. When you kept killing me over and over, you know what I saw, all of us together the way it was. I keep trying to go back. I will give anything to go back to fix things. And that's essentially the crux of why Peter is in the position that he is, because he was willing to give up anything to fix things, to fix the death of Aunt May. He was willing to give up relationships, marriages, key pieces of himself to fix things. And while I'm back there thinking about what I do differently, everything in front of me keeps getting worse. I have to stop. Definitely makes you think about the butterfly effect. Every time you try to fix things, if you go in the past, or if you could go in the past and try to fix things, it makes everything else, in the future. It could be who else's future ruining type of thing. Definitely made me think of the Ashton Kutcher movie, where he basically ruins all of his friends' lives over and over by trying to right one wrong from his childhood, and the effects that it has, cascading effects on everyone's lives, the domino effects that happens. It's very emotional stuff here. Definitely digging deep into the character Peter Parker. Very, very well done by Nick Spencer. Like I said, there's no action in this comic book. There's barely even any Spider-Man. This is all Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Nice to see their relationship explored further, and her helping Peter to try and heal himself and try to find out what's wrong with him and why Harry's doing this to him. Which also got us like the first kind of big reveal. I even forgot that there was any connection between Mysterio and Kindred. But at one point, she lets Peter know, I'm not leaving. We can finish the filming of my movie. Obviously, that was in the Amazing Mary Jane miniseries. She's going to complete things in New York. And when Peter leaves, Mysterio's been watching him. He's like, be careful what you wish. You can't deliver that. She goes, you know what? We're going to stay here. He's like, but this is supposed to be a partnership. Like, well, I'm the leading lady. I'm changing the deal. We're going to stay here. And then she finally says, Kindred, you know something about this, Quentin, about how Harry Osborn got this way and what he wants. And he replies, please, Mary Jane, I beg you, some things are better left unknown. I know your intentions are good, but you know what they say. Basically the road to hell is paved with the best intentions. It feels like Mysterio has a part to play. I don't think that he is part of Kindred's plan or like one of his pawns, but it feels like he knows something more than he's letting on. This was interesting. Obviously, the big reveal was the very last page. You remember Doctor Strange was part of Last Remains? And he had to go, do some research because something was wrong with Peter when he tried to do some magic with him. Yeah, he just kind of disappeared. Well, he's back. He goes and he's taking a visit, and we finally get the big reveal on the last page. He's talking to Mephisto. What is wrong with Peter Parker's soul? Obviously, Doctor Strange has figured out there's something wrong. Peter Parker and Mephisto himself is at the heart of it. This, as my good friend Mark Pellegrini would say, this is a good page turn reveal. Excellent way to end the issue. Certainly keeps me coming back for more. Another carrot right in front of my nose as I walk around like a donkey, waiting for Nick Spencer to address this one more day stuff. What is he going to do with it? I'm still not sure. It felt like he was going to address it, maybe fix it. Every time he does this, it's more and more clear that that's what he's talking about. But we don't know what's going to happen. So, like I said, not a full review of the comic book. I very much enjoyed it. Like I said, it'll be keeping me tuned in for the next issue. That's for certain. Although, I don't understand how this is leading into Peter getting a new Spider-Man costume or any of that stuff. But I wish they would stop with that and just address this. Like, this is the stuff that I'm coming here to the comic for. This is what I want to see addressed. This is what I think is interesting. But it does feel like he meanders a bit too much, and there's some filler here and there. But because it keeps teasing this one more day stuff, and I'm waiting for it to be undone or hoping that it's going to be undone, will he be able to drag me out to issue 100? No. I do have limits. I will let go when I have to. But for now, I'm sticking with it, even though I know in 2 issues I'm going to be frustrated. We haven't seen probably Mephisto in a couple of issues. Doctor Strange will have disappeared, and Kindred will still be in the Dark Force bubble that he's in, with no explanation for what's going on. Definitely frustrating that Last Remains is over, Last Remains Postmortem is over, and there's absolutely no finality or even resolution to anything that was started in there. But when you get issues like this, it's why you keep coming back. So those are my thoughts. This was really powerful stuff. I like the character work a lot in Amazing Spider-Man 60. Very good stuff. Very well done. And the art by Mark Bagley is excellent. I hope you enjoyed the issue as much as I did. Has Nick Spencer done it to you? Has he got you dragging along, even though you're not going to get this one more day conclusion until like issue 100?
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.